Hello, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining this introduction to Draconic Astrology. Um, Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and less common explored branch of astrology. And really, what it reveals is our soul's deeper motivations and karmic influences. Draconic astrology at its core goes beyond the surface traits of our tropical chart, and it provides insight into our spiritual journey, showing us where our soul has been and where it's striving to go. Um, I became interested in 2022 in Draconic astrology. There was a gentleman, an astrologer named Victor Oliver, who put a book out on Draconic astrology called Chasing the Dragons. And for me, that's what started my interest. I then saw on Kepler College YouTube uh, a astrologer by the name of Maria Blackier, and she spoke about Draconic astrology there. And then I went and followed her, and I went through her Draconic astrology certification course about a year ago. And when I started utilizing Draconic astrology in my chart readings, I realized that it was a wonderful tool and it had a lot of really great, actually amazing accuracy. Um, it's interesting because you can see when you look at a chart and you're looking at an individual, be it a older individual or a younger individual, you're going to see maybe if they're older or they're more enlightened, they are farther along in that pursuit of their um, soul path. And if you have someone who perhaps is young or someone who isn't quite as enlightened, you will see that when you're speaking with them that they are headed down that path, but they're not as far along as someone who is older or more enlightened. And so it's interesting because as you see the path open up for people when you're looking at their current chart and their transits, how this is coming about in their life. And it's just fascinating. All right. Before I start, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Deborah, and I am an astrologer, and I'm also the founder of the Neo Astrology Group. And I created this group 3 years ago. Today is our birthday, and I am very proud of it and of everything that has been done uh, for the group and with the group in the last 3 years. I am an astrologer. I do chart readings. I do presentations. I like to consider myself a fusion astrologer because I mix Hellenistic and modern and evolutionary and just a little of this and a little of that. I've studied so many different things, and I like to take what I find that speaks to me or is very the best, in my opinion, of that tradition, and I bring them all together when I look at charts. So that is who I am. So let's dive into this. I want to give you a good, strong understanding and a little bit of basic information about Draconic astrology so you can see for yourself how powerful it is. All right. So the place, of course, we're going to start is with the foundation of Draconic astrology. Um, it's deeply intertwined with the lunar nodes, of course, which are pivotal in understanding our soul journey and our karmic lessons. And so these nodes are not physical celestial bodies like planets or stars, but rather they're astronomical points of intersection. Specifically, they are places where the moon's orbit around the Earth crosses the ecliptic and the sun's apparent path through the zodiac. And so these interactions, these intersections, they create our north node, the dragon's head, the caput draconis, and the South Node, the Dragon's Tail, the Cauda Draconis. And together, these points form what astrologers call the axis of destiny. And it basically is an area that highlights a balance between past life experience and future growth, what we're here to um, let go of, and what we're here to enhance, and all of those sorts of things. So when we look at the North Node represents the soul's aspirations, lessons, purpose in this lifetime. It signifies where we are called to stretch out beyond our comfort zone, to develop new qualities, to evolve spiritually. Conversely, that South Node is going to reflect accumulated lifetime wisdom, tendencies, habits, things from previous incarnations. And it is the foundation that we often fall back on when we are young, uh, sometimes even when we're old, depending on the amount of karma we've looked through. And it represents patterns that we need to transcend from during this life cycle. The South Node is a toxicity that we've brought forward that we have to release. You want to detox that South Node area, and you want to bring in new to replace in that North Node. Okay. And so in the Draconic chart, the zodiac is realigned to place 0 Aries at the North Node. Okay, so symbolically, that's placing the soul's purpose at the heart of the interpretation. And this alignment shifts the chart's focus from external characteristics and psychological traits, which is this tropical chart, to a more deeper, more intrinsic, uh, motivation-based karmic path of the soul chart. It emphasizes the unconscious drives and the spiritual essence that influences our actions and our decisions. And even if we are unaware of them on a surface level, they are still there acting. This is why the Draconic astrology is often referred to as the zodiac of the soul. It unveils the unseen forces that shape our relationships, our choices, our emotional patterns, and it offers us insight in the transition, the transcendence of the physical and the material dimensions of our lives. And so by working with a draconic chart, we can dive into really strong hidden motivations and desires that are driving us. Also, it will give us a lot of illumination into that spiritual or karmic reasons behind our behaviors. This system acts as a mirror to our inner world, bringing to light the unspoken agreements, connections, and unresolved lessons we carry into this lifetime. Moreover, the draconic chart relationship to others, especially when we look at it in a synastry chart comparison, reveals karmic ties and soul agreements that bind us to significant people. These insights can help us understand why certain relationships feel so profound or so challenging, and how they contribute to our growth through the lens of Draconic, the individual self-awareness and personal evolution. But we're also illuminating this larger web of connections and lessons that we've navigated across lifetimes. So when we look at the foundational concepts of Draconic astrology, we look into, of course, the origin, because we want to know its roots. Okay, so Draconic astrology finds its modern roots in the work of Edgar Cayce. For those not familiar with Edgar Cayce, he was a renowned early 20th century psychic and mystic called the Sleeping Prophet. And Cayce frequently spoke of the soul's journey across lifetimes. He emphasized how past life experience shaped our current circumstances, and his teachings highlighted the importance of karmic lessons and spiritual evolution. And so it was laying the foundation for interpreting astrological charts as reflections of our soul's purpose and past life patterns. Although Casey didn't explicitly develop Draconic astrology, his focus on karma and reincarnation inspired its philosophical framework that we go with. The system actually was later formalized by a woman named Reverend Pamela Crane, who is a prominent astrologer in the late 20th century. Crane's work gave Draconic astrology structure and practical application, and she reoriented the zodiac to align, particularly the North Node, representing that soul growth and that destiny. And so this alignment places the soul's purpose at the forefront of this astrological interpretation. Right? So Crane's research emphasized the relationship between the Draconic chart, which is your soul level motivation, and the tropical chart, the current life experience. And in her books, such as the Draconic chart, she introduced us all, us astrologers, to methods for calculating Draconic placements and understanding their insights into karmic themes and relationships and life purpose. So together, if you put Casey's philosophical influence and Crane's practical, systematic ways, that they formed Draconic astrology. They made it accessible for exploring the spiritual and the karmic divisions of life. Interestingly, the name Draconic connects to ancient myths, particularly the Babylonian myth of Marduk and Tiamat. If we look at the story of Marduk and Tiamat, it comes from ancient Babylonian mythology, and it specifically speaks about the creation of the epic Enuma Elish, and it tells us of a cosmic battle between chaos and order. And so Tiamat is like a primordial sea goddess and represents chaos and kind of the untamed forces of our nature. She was the mother of the gods, and when she grew angry with her children, she created an army of monstrous creatures to war against them. And so the younger gods, overwhelmed, chose Marduk, who was a storm god, as their champion. And in exchange for his help, they granted him supreme authority if he was to defeat Tiamat. And so, armed with powerful nets and winds and bows, Marduk confronted Tiamat. And after a very fierce battle, he slayed her by shooting an arrow through her heart. And then it split her body in two, and one half formed the heavens, and the other half became the earth. Okay. And that is the myth that is symbolizing this triumph of order over chaos and kind of an establishment of the cosmos. And in context of Draconic astrology, this really resonates with the themes of transformation and the balance between destruction and creation and the soul's journey towards structure and purpose. So if we look at these origins, Draconic astrology really emerged as a profound tool for exploring karmic lessons and spiritual evolution. Right? It offers this really unique perspective on our soul's journey through time. Unlike the tropical chart, which again gives us our present personality and our external circumstances, the Draconic chart is really rooted in those nodes, and it's giving us symbolization for our soul's past experiences, that South Node, and its aspirations for growth in the North Node. And so it's almost like we're getting the bridging of a gap between who we have been across lifetimes and who we are striving to become. Okay. So when we look at Draconic astrology, it's really essential to compare it with the more widely known tropical chart. These two systems have complementary but very distinct purposes in understanding human life and our soul's journey. Right? The tropical zodiac which forms the basis of, most modern Western astrology, begins at 0 Aries, a point determined by the um, vernal equinox. It's the moment where the sun crosses the celestial equator, moving northward, heralding the start of spring in that northern hemisphere. And so this zodiac system is firmly rooted in the relationship between the earth and the sun and the changing season. And it reflects those external layers of our personality. And so in that context, the tropical chart really provides us insight into our current life circumstances, including what we have a tendency behaviorally to do, psychologically, how we are interacting with our environment, and how we really interact with the world around us in general, right? Now, in contrast, the Draconic chart takes a more spiritually centered approach. It realigns the zodiac so that the North Node that becomes a point that signifies this spiritual growth and this soul aspiration, and it is positioned at 0 Aries. And so this orientation shifts the focus from external season-based tropical chart framework to a perspective that more so prioritizes the soul's essence and motivation, the karmic path. And so by anchoring a chart to its north node, Draconic astrology becomes a tool for exploring that more unconscious drive, more of those past life themes. And so it gives us this underlying spiritual purpose that guides our incarnation in this lifetime. Right? This fundamental difference in orientation between these two charts means that they are going to reveal different layers of our existence. That tropical chart answers questions about who we are here and now, our personality, our habit, how we're responding to daily life, where the Draconic chart is going to get deeper. It's going to start uncovering hidden influences that might be stemming from past lives, karmic imprints, soul level contracts. And it helps us understand why certain patterns recur or why we feel drawn to specific paths or people in a way that defies logical explanation. Okay. Importantly, these systems are not contradictory or working against each other, but actually they're complementary. Together, when you put them together, they really provide a holistic view of life. That tropical chart is outlining our surface experience, how we're navigating this physical and material world, while the Draconic chart adds depth by illuminating the spiritual and the karmic divisions, really the underpinnings of our choices and challenges. Okay. An example. So, say you've got a conjunction between a Draconic planet and a tropical planet. That would reveal to us maybe a soul driven purpose or lesson that's being manifested in everyday life. Okay. So when you have overlapping themes between the two charts, it highlights areas of profound importance in our personal growth and in our karmic resolution. All right. So by using both these charts in tandem together, it gives an astrologer the ability to bridge the gap between the external and the internal through the temporal and the eternal. And it really offers us this nuanced understanding of our life's journeys and the interplay between our physical and our spiritual selves. Okay. This dual perspective not only enriches self-awareness, but it also empowers individuals to align their actions and their deeper purpose. And it really creates a more meaningful and spiritually attuned life. Okay. So let's look at the lunar nodes and the key concepts of them. Okay. I touched this at the very beginning. So we're just going to kind of look at this, scratching the surface. All right. So as I said, the lunar nodes are a cornerstone of our Draconic astrology. They are what forms the axis of our soul's path. These points where the moon's orbit intersects the ecliptic are not physical bodies, symbolic markers. They represent the tension between where we've been and where we're going. And they offer this insight into our spiritual journey and our karmic evolution. The North Node symbolizes the direction of soul growth, right? It's a compass pointing towards our lessons, our experiences, and the traits that we really need to develop in this lifetime. The North Node often calls us to step out of a comfort zone, to embrace something new, some challenge perhaps that's going to help us align with this higher purpose. And so the energy of the North Node is about expansion and evolution. And it's encouraging us to cultivate qualities that bring balance and fulfillment in our lives. While pursuing these traits, sometimes it feels very unfamiliar or maybe even daunting, because by doing this, basically, we are essentially working on our spiritual growth and our soul's potential. Okay. When we look at that South Node, it's going to represent the past, both in this life and across previous incarnations. It embodies the qualities and the skills that we've already mastered and the karmic baggage that we're carrying forward, right? And so while the South Node can provide a solid foundation, it also is reflecting patterns that are no longer serving us. These habits, while they might be comfortable, become limiting. And if we rely on them, they become heavy and they prevent us from actually finding that evolution in our North Node lessons. Okay. The South Node is a point of detox and karmic purging. It really reveals the area of life where we may encounter reoccurring challenges or emotional residue from past that needs resolution. And these struggles are not punishments, but they're opportunities for spiritual cleansing and release. And so by confronting and working through the energy of our South Node, we free ourselves from the constraints and all these outdated patterns from the past. And it really gives us the ability to make space for growth and expansion represented by that North Node. Example. So let's say we've got someone with a South Node in Libra. All right. Most likely they have mastered the art of relationships, diplomacy, and compromise in past lives. But they could, in this life, be leaning too heavily on others for validation or avoid asserting their independence. And so in this case, their North Node, which would be in Aries, is calling them to embrace individuality, courage, self-reliance. And so to achieve this, they're going to have to detox from their South Node's tendencies to please people and to, and balance in partnerships. Okay. And so together, if we look at that North Node and that South Node, they really form a very dynamic balance. The South Node provides a starting point, showing us where we are coming from and what we're going to release and what we're going to transform. And that North Node is pointing to the soul's intended direction, providing and guiding us with, new skill, new qualities, new experiences that are going to help balance and complete our karmic journey. So in the context of Draconic astrology, the axis of the soul's roadmap really reveals the intricate interplay between our karmic past and our spiritual future. And so while Draconic chart realign the zodiac to prioritize the North Node at 0 at Aries, the influence of that South Node remains critical because it's acting as the shadow side of growth. It's what we must confront, what we must process, and ultimately we have to let go of to fully embrace the North Node's potential. And so this balance ensures that the journey of the soul is one of detoxification and evolution and spiritual harmony. Okay. So when we look at the astronomical and spiritual significance of Draconic astrology, all right, if we look at it astronomically, the lunar nodes really are fascinating and complex markers in our sky. They're not physical objects, but calculated points of intersection where the moon's orbit around the Earth is crossing that ecliptic plane, that apparent path that the sun is tracing through the sky over the course of a year. And so this alignment occurs because the moon's orbit is tilted by approximately 5 degrees relative to that ecliptic. And so the 2 points where these orbits intersect are called our north node and our south node, right? So the north node is the point where the moon moves from below the eclipse to above it, while the south node marks where it descends back below. And so this dynamic relationship symbolizes the constant motion and the balance of opposing forces, rising growth and falling release. And so the nodes move in this clockwise direction, completely in a full circuit of our zodiac, about every 18 and a half years. And this means that about every 18 and a half years, they return to their original positions in a natal chart, which marks a really significant moment of karmic reevaluation of progress. Okay, so the cycle of the nodes is intrinsically tied to the eclipses. And so as these celestial events occur, where the sun and the moon and the earth align near these nodes, the connection to these eclipses is underscoring their symbolic association with destiny, transformation, and pivotal life changes. Right? Each nodal cycle highlights different areas of life, bringing themes of closure and renewal and spiritual growth. Okay. And so spiritually, the lunar nodes are powerful indicators of the soul's evolutionary path. They serve as a bridge between past and the future. They form this axis of karma and destiny, and they give us a framework for understanding our personal and our collective growth. And so when we look at the North Node, it's going to represent our soul's aspirational direction. It signifies areas where we are called to expand, to develop, to, to go someplace uncharted. And this path often is going to be challenging because it's asking us to do something that's not familiar. It's asking us to go beyond what we find comfort in our habitual behaviors. And so the North Node is like this beacon of forward movement, urging us to align with our soul's purpose and engage in transformative growth. Conversely, if we look at that South Node, we're looking at the soul's past experiences. We're looking at the lessons, the skills, and the tendencies that we have now carried over from all of our previous lifetimes. And while it represents our comfort zone, it also represents karmic imbalance and unresolved patterns that inhibit growth if we don't check them. And so the space where we are tasked with integration and release and detoxifying karmic residue and rebalancing energy is our South Node. We are there to get rid of what no longer is serving our highest good. Okay. When we look at the nodal cycle, it ties really deeply into personal and collective karmic progress. On a personal level, the nodes highlight areas of life where growth and resolution are most critical. And as they transit through the houses and interact with the planets in our chart, they bring karmic themes into focus, offering opportunities to confront our past and embrace our future. And so every nodal return acts as a checkpoint for evaluating how well we've integrated these lessons. Okay, that's on a personal level. On a collective level, the nodes influence societal evolution. Their movement through zodiac signs and their associated polarities bring attention to specific themes. All right. For example, we've just stepped out of the North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio. That was a period of collective focus, shifting towards stability and sustainability and simplicity while purging complexity and hidden things and destructive patterns. All right. And then we went through again what we're just leaving, we're just letting go of Aries and Libra. So we were bringing in those Aries themes, that independence, that taking action, that finding your voice. And we were letting go of that codependency and that need of partnership that we had. And now we're moving in currently, just recently, into our Pisces Virgo access. Okay. And so we are going to be bringing in that energy of Pisces, and we're going to be letting go that energy of Virgo. Okay. And so when we look at the interplay between these nodes, it's this dynamic cycle of karmic resolution and growth. The North Node is our compass for our soul's journey. Okay. If you think about carrying a compass, trying to figure out which way you're going, that's the North Node. It's your compass. It's going to direct you where to go to find what's new, what's unfamiliar, and what is spiritually necessary. That South Node is like a repository. It's a place where we have our past mastery and our karmic lessons, and it is where we have to purify and transcend to make progress, right? So understanding the lunar nodes as both astronomical phenomena and spiritual symbols allows us to appreciate their really profound role in shaping our journey, both individually and collectively, okay? They are teaching us the evolution of what is an ongoing process of integrating the past while striving towards becoming more enlightened and balanced in our futures. All right. So now let's dig into Draconic astrology. All right. So to begin working with Draconic astrology, the first step is to calculate the Draconic chart by overlaying it with your tropical chart. And this process reorients the zodiac to align the North Node at 0 Aries. So it shifts the focus from the external personality to the deeper soul motivation. Okay. I don't know if the people listening to me are beginners or if they are more seasoned. And so I don't know what kind of calculation system you are using, tools for your charts. I am going to recommend AstroSeek for those that are just beginners or thinking about Draconic astrology, because it is an online chart calculator and it is free. And you can utilize it, and it really simplifies this process. If you use SolarFire, which is what I normally use, SolarFire gives you the ability to create Draconic charts. So does, my brain is not working at the moment. The iOS one, Gold. I can't pull it up at the moment. My brain is just not giving it to me. I can't think of the name. Astrogold? Astrogold. There it is. So whatever you use for your charting, I'm sure every charting system probably has something available, but I'm going to explain very briefly how to utilize AstroSeek to find your draconic information, or to find the draconic information for a chart, so that you have a tool that doesn't cost anything, that you can give this a try. You will find the link to this down below, or if I'm sending you this in an email, it will be in the email. All right. So basically, this is the Draconic calculator, and it's pretty simplistic. You just put in your birth information and your birth city. Um, you want to click on extended settings and put in whole sign. All right, and we're not interested in any of these other things, except for, of course, the lunar nodes. And you might want to click true. You can do lunar nodes true and mean, depending upon what you use. If you do them true, then you would need to click this. This calculates in a mean. All right. So once you got your information in, you would click calculate chart, and this is what it would produce. So um, it has taken the chart, this birth chart for July 2nd, 1967 at 2:22, and has put it into the Draconic chart. Okay. It also has here, you could click on it and it would give you the Draconic and natal, which is nice because you're going to have to do that here momentarily. All right. So I'm going to click here next so we can kind of look at the other information it gives you. So when you click on that and you get the combined charts, you're going to have your natal on the inside and your Draconic on the outside. So once you have both these charts, this is where the magic starts happening. You start looking at the interpretation. The Draconic chart is going to serve as your inner compass, revealing your soul's values and your karmic lessons and your ultimate life purpose. And it reflects the motivation driving your choices and your relationships on a subconscious level. By contrast, we've got that tropical chart in the middle, your natal chart, and that's going to represent how these inner motivations manifest outwardly. And so you're looking at all these different things going on. And so with this chart, I have up here, which is information they give you on that website. This is the positions of the natal planets for this chart. The Draconic position, when it's moved, is here. So you can see that the natal chart has a Cancer sun, but the Draconic has a Gemini sun. Natal is a Taurus moon. The Draconic is an Aries moon. All right, so everything has been shifted slightly because of the lining of that north node to 0. Okay, so, right, the Draconic Ascendant is going to be the starting point of a Draconic chart, and it reflects the soul's deepest motivation. And so when we overlay it onto our tropical chart, when you take your Draconic chart and you lay it on top of your tropical chart, you're going to get insight into how the motivations are manifesting in specific areas of your life, right? And so this interaction reveals where the soul's purpose feels most alive and where these lessons or these opportunities are going to be most prominent, right? Each tropical house in Draconic, the Draconic overlay offers a unique lens for interpreting the soul's deepest motivations. By understanding these overlays, you can see how the soul's purpose is intersecting with the different areas of life. And it also is giving you knowledge that's going to empower you to align your daily actions with your spiritual mission. So it creates like a harmonious bond between the physical and the spiritual. Okay. And so, like I said, I normally use solar fires. So this is a solar chart using the natal chart within and the Draconic chart for this natal chart on the outside. All right. And so at this point, we're going to focus on houses. Okay. Because I'm going to go through the houses and we're going to talk about what each one of these mean. All right. And we're thinking about the Draconic Ascendant. All right. So in this chart, the natal ascendant was Taurus, but the Draconic Ascendant is Aries. Okay. And so, and that occurred when the North Node, which was at 4 degrees Taurus, was moved to that 0 Aries. Okay. All right. So let's look at the first house. All right. So when we're looking at you having your Draconic Ascendant in the tropical first house, we're talking about identity and autonomy. Okay. So when your Draconic Ascendant overlays your tropical first house, the soul's primary focus in this lifetime is going to revolve around personal identity, self-assertion, and autonomy. And this placement is emphasizing the importance of individuality and authenticity. All right. Basically, this is a life that's being called to cultivate self-awareness, and it's asking you to confidently express who you truly are and to lead with integrity. And with the soul's journey here, it involves overcoming self-doubt, maybe stepping out of the shadows, learning to take ownership of your unique life path. I would say, practically speaking, someone with this placement, you might feel a strong inner pull to stand out, whether by taking initiative in your personal or professional life or by asserting control over your destiny. Roles that require leadership, creativity, bold self-expression will naturally resonate with your purpose. Okay. If you've got the Draconic Ascendant in the tropical second house, you're looking at value and security. All right. Basically, the soul's focus in this lifetime is revolving around material resources, self-worth, tangible security. This placement is highlighting a deep drive to establish stability, both in terms of financial independence and alignment with personal values. So the soul is seeking to learn the balance between material desires and spiritual worth. And so it's often uncovering lessons related to over-attachment and to possessions, you know, or to fear of scarcity, of not having things. And so these themes suggest that the journey isn't just about accumulating wealth, but about recognizing what truly holds value in life, including self-esteem and inner security. Okay. So if we're looking at it, this overlay is someone who is motivated to build a strong, stable foundation for themselves, whether it's a financial success or meaningful work or maybe personal achievement. Careers or goals are going to be connected to finance, beauty, sustainability, creating lasting value, resonating deeply. All of those things are going to really resonate with that individual's purpose. That's if you have your Draconic Ascendant in the tropical second house. All right. If we have the Draconic Ascendant in the third house, all right, we're looking at the soul focusing this lifetime. It's going to be revolving around sharing ideas, learning, forming connections. This placement is going to emphasize through intellectual exchange, curiosity, the pursuit of understanding. The soul's evolution in this placement is tied to finding your voice and expressing your thoughts clearly and authentically. Lessons are going to involve overcoming fears of being judged or misunderstood when you communicate. There's also going to be karmic ties to siblings, neighbors, your environment, suggesting that these relationships or contexts might play a really significant role in your spiritual journey. I would say practically that this individual is going to feel a strong pull towards activities like writing, teaching, public speaking, or networking, as these all are going to follow fulfilling this soul's purpose by connecting with others on a mental level. The engaging in intellectual pursuits or sharing knowledge with others, bringing this sense of deep fulfillment. Okay. When we look at our fourth house, we're looking at the soul's focus in this lifetime being tied to family ancestry, emotional foundations. Okay. This placement is revealing a deep connection to your roots, and it's emphasizing the importance of creating a sense of security and belonging, not just for yourself, but often for those around you. So your soul's purpose involves healing family karma, which might include addressing inherited emotional patterns or maybe some unresolved issue with parents or caregivers. This placement often brings an opportunity or sometimes a challenge to break generational cycles that are no longer serving the highest good for you. And so the work here is transformative, and it's helping you create this stable, nurturing foundation for future. In practical terms, I would say this place inspires you to explore heritage, maybe diving really deep into your family history to understand where you're coming from, how it's shaped you, who you are presently. Alternatively, I would say you might feel drawn to create a home environment that reflects your personal value, a space where you and others feel safe and loved and supported. Emotional healing work, whether through therapy or caregiving, or really even just self-reflection, self-reflection is really a central part to this spiritual growth for this placement. Okay, looking at the fifth house. When you've got your Draconic Ascendant in the fifth house, your soul's focus is going to revolve around creativity and joy and self-expression. So this placement is going to highlight a deep yearning to live life fully and passionately and really embrace the beauty of creation in every single form. The soul is really seeking to fulfill their artistic endeavors, romantic experiences, even maybe raising children. This is a lifetime where you're called to embrace authentic expression. So you're allowing yourself to shine without fear of being vulnerable. Lessons are going to involve learning to trust your ability to create, whether it's through art or through a relationship or through the legacy you are leaving for other people. You might feel drawn to pursuits that are going to allow you to express creativity or leadership, like the performing arts or designing things or creative entrepreneurship kind of stuff. Additionally, parenting or mentorship could be very significant karmic role in your journey if you've got the Draconic Ascendant in this fifth house. Uh, Relationships are going to provide opportunities for growth and connection on a soul level. When we look at the Draconic Ascendant in the sixth house, we're looking at service and health. Okay. Your soul's focus is going to be on daily routines, service to others, and physical well being. This is a placement that's going to suggest a lifetime where refining systems and mastering the balance between work and health and personal fulfillment are going to be your central themes. The soul's purpose is going to involve helping others, improving the environment and systems that are around you, whether it's through some act of service or healthcare or cultivating order in a daily life. Your journey is emphasizing the importance of making some kind of tangible impact. Your karmic lessons may come from finding balance. You might find yourself you need to avoid burnout from being overworked while ensuring that you meet your own needs for well-being and self-care. Okay, that's the kind of karmic lesson that might occur. Practically, this overlay often aligns with careers or activities in healthcare, organizational roles, professions centered on service. It's going to be about developing a disciplined daily routine. It can also be the key to your spiritual and personal growth. And it's going to be about providing structure to channel your energy effectively. Seventh house. When you have your Draconic Ascendant overlaying the seventh house, your soul's focus is going to be deeply rooted in relationships, partnerships, achieving harmony with others. This is a placement that's going to emphasize spiritual importance of meaningful one-on-one connections in your life, be them romantic, professional, platonic friendships. The soul's journey is going to involve learning to balance independence with collaboration. This is often going to mean developing the ability to compromise and work with others while maintaining your sense of identity. Karmic relationships, such as with soulmates or partners. You're going to feel really deep, fated connections with them. They're going to likely play really significant roles in your personal growth. And these same partnerships may bring challenges that teach you about trust, accountability, mutual respect. Okay. Partnerships, whether they're romantic or professional, are going to be central to your life path and your spiritual evolution if you have your Draconic Ascendant overlaying that seventh house. Okay. So you are going to have careers or roles in mediation, counseling, any field that really requires building bridges between people that feel especially aligned with your purpose. You are likely to thrive in situations where collaboration and mutual understanding are essential. Okay. When we look at that eighth house, when the Draconic Ascendant is overlaying the eighth house, you're looking at the soul's focus on transformation, shared resources, navigating power dynamics. It's going to stay for a lifetime where you have deep, meaningful change and introspection, because that is what is central to your spiritual growth. The soul's journey in this house involves navigating themes of death, rebirth, intimacy, both emotional and financial. And so you're going to be called to confront fears around loss, vulnerability, control. The lessons here are going to push you to let go of attachments that aren't serving you any longer. They're going to be allowing you to have profound transformation and renewal. And this eighth house is going to teach you that true power comes not from control, but from embracing change and trusting the process of growth. Practically, I would say this overlay draws you into fields of deep exploration like finance, psychology, spiritual practices. You might be naturally inclined towards uncovering hidden truths or helping others through going through transformative things. Might be helping others through therapy, counseling, metaphysical work. Okay. When we look at the Draconic Ascendant overlaying the ninth house, we're looking at the soul's focus in this lifetime revolving around exploration, higher learning, spiritual discovery. In this placement, you're going to have a life that has a deep need to expand your horizons, both physically and mentally. And so as you're seeking greater understanding of the world and your place within it, you want to find out, where you are and why you're there and what you could do and understanding how it all works. Your soul's journey involves broadening perspectives through travel, education, immersing yourself in some new culture or new philosophy. And there's often this karmic call to release rigid or dogmatic beliefs, to replace them with being more open and inclusive mindset. This lifetime is going to challenge you to question what you've been taught and to embrace a worldview that aligns with your evolving values and spiritual truth. Okay. In practical terms, this is going to draw you towards a pursuit that emphasizes teaching, exploring, studying philosophy, religion, cultural systems. Whether you're doing it through formal education or through personal adventure, you're going to have expansive experiences that define your growth. You may feel a strong pull to guiding others, sharing your insights, and inspiring others to seek their own path for discovery. Okay. When we look at the 10th house, we are looking at career and recognition. You are looking at the core focuses being public image, career, societal contribution. The soul is going to be seeking fulfillment through professional achievements and leadership roles. You're going to learn lessons that have to do with balancing ambition with integrity. You're going to be drawn to take on roles that bring visible, I'm going to say, it's going to be draw you out to roles that bring you out into the light, that are going to make you very visible to the world and also to authority. And professionally, you're going to have success and it is going to become your spiritual pursuit. So your professional success is taking you to your spiritual goals. Okay. When we look at the 11th house, we're looking at friendships, community, visionary ideas. Okay, those are going to be the core focus for the soul path. The soul's growth is going to involve collaboration and contributing to collective goals. You're going to experience lessons that might be centering around embracing individuality within group dynamics. Maybe you're drawn to social activism, group projects, innovative ventures. It's going to be about finding and being part of friendships and teams that are going to define your spiritual path. Okay. When we look at the Draconic Ascendant in the 12th house, which is where it was in that chart that I used for an example at the beginning, that is someone that is going to have a soul's focus in this lifetime being centered on spirituality, introspection, and sense. If you've got it on top of that 12th house, you're looking at somebody who's going to experience deeply reflective journey where you're called to move beyond material things and embrace the unseen and the universal truths and the shape of of existence. The journey, I think, for this 12th house placement is involving liberation from karmic baggage. So this means that you will probably have a lifetime where you're going to have a lot of healing unresolved wounds from previous lifetimes, letting go of patterns that keep you tied to ego. You're going to have lessons that are centered around spiritual surrender, learning to trust in the greater flow of life and align yourself with a higher consciousness. This process is going to be really transforming. It's going to offer, the potential for a deep inner peace that you wouldn't have otherwise. People with this placement are going to be drawn to support spiritual growth, like meditation, mysticism, service in tranquil environments or in secluded environments. It's going to be about going away from the external world's noise and growing in allowing yourself to focus on healing and self-awareness and connection to the divine. All right, so let's look at the interactions between tropical and draconic charts. Okay, so we went through the houses. So when you looked at your draconic and your tropical chart overlay, you found the ascendant, you found what house the ascendant was in. Okay. So now we're going to think about the relationship between this tropical and this draconic chart. It's going to provide a way to uncover patterns and connections, okay, so that we look at internal motivations in comparison to external reality, okay? So when we examine how these charts interact, we gain insight into deeper dynamics, things that we've got working in our lives, working in the background. All right. And so we need to, at this point, analyze aspects. Okay. We're going to be looking at aspects. We're going to be looking at the aspects between the draconic chart and the tropical chart. Okay. So we're going to look at conjunctions and oppositions. So in Draconic astrology, the most significant interaction between two charts are the conjunctions and the oppositions. These aspects, particularly when they occur within a tight orb of 3 or less, that's very important in Draconic astrology. I'm going to repeat it. Orb of 3 degrees or less. Okay. This is going to highlight areas where the energy of these two charts are directly connecting and are going to create a dynamic relationship. Okay, so a conjunction is going to indicate a merging of energy. It's a planet or a point in the draconic chart aligning with a planet or a point in the tropical chart. And it's symbolizing an area where you've got a soul level motivation seamlessly influencing a tangible experience. Okay. This alignment is going to feel very natural and aligned with your purpose. Okay. Then you have your opposition. They reflect polarity. Say conjunctions are merging energy, oppositions are polarity in energy. So these are oppositions are going to highlight areas of tension or imbalance where your internal desires and external circumstances are challenging each other. These are going to be aspects that bring opportunity for growth by integrating these opposing energies. Okay. And so by exploring these aspects, it gives us the ability to uncover interplay between the soul's deeper intentions and how they manifest or how they're tested in our external lives. Okay. So we're going to dive into the significance of these interactions and look a little more closely at them. All right. Before I jump, I want to really, really emphasize the importance of that 3-degree orb. It's crucial. Okay. The reason why the 3-degree orb is key to Draconic astrology is because it ensures that the connections between this Draconic and Tropical charts are going to be highly focused and very impactful. Right? In astrology in general, the closer the degrees of alignment, the stronger resonance of the aspect. So a tight orb amplifies the energy, making the relationship between the Draconic and the Tropical placement more pronounced and more meaningful. Okay. So if you've got something in this chart, in these, when you laid them together, if you've got points or planets interacting that are within 1 degree, these are incredibly potent. And these are going to point to major life themes and relationships. All right. Example would be if you've got your Draconic sun conjunct your tropical midheaven within 1 degree, that might indicate that you have a life-defining purpose that's going to be tied to career and public recognition. Okay. Now, if we're looking at a 1 to 3 degree orb, slightly broader, these are going to still be very impactful, but they're going to highlight ongoing lessons or opportunities for spiritual growth. And so they're going to represent areas where the soul's motivations consistently influence everyday experiences, guiding this individual, guiding you towards alignment with your purpose. Okay. And so when the orb extends beyond that 3 degree, the energy of this aspect starts diluting and it starts losing intensity and clarity. And so by working with those 3-degree orbs or less, you're really focusing on the most powerful and relevant influences in these charts. And you're really ensuring that the interpretations are going to be very specific and very meaningful. And that precision is really going to allow you to pinpoint where the soul's intentions actively shape tangible realities. Okay. Now, let's look at conjunctions. So, with conjunctions, one of the most significant aspects in Draconic astrology, hands down. So it's going to occur when you've got a placement in your Draconic chart that's aligning exactly with a placement in your tropical chart. Now, this alignment is going to represent the merging of these energies, and it's going to be creating a direct and powerful connection between the soul's inner motivations and the external expression. Okay. The implication of conjunctions are profound. These are bridges between the Draconic chart, which is showing you that soul level intention, and the Draconic chart and the tropical chart, which is describing the personality and the life circumstance. And so these energies, when they merge, are the soul's motivations flowing seamlessly into everyday life, making it easier to align actions with spiritual purpose. Okay. I read a chart recently for a client who had her North Node at 0 degrees Aries. And so when it was lined up, when her North Node was lined up for the Draconic chart, her chart merged almost identically with her tropical natal chart. There was very little deviation. There was slight, but very little. Almost everything was either a conjunction or an almost conjunction. And so she was quite literally, in everything she did, living her soul's path. Okay, because it was being represented by the actions in her physical life going on right now. Okay. When you have these aspects and they of conjunction, they feel like a calling. These are going to be areas where your external actions feel guided by something innate. It's like you have this sense of destiny, or you've got this purpose that's almost driving you. Conjunctions really are illuminating the places in your life where your spiritual essence is going to most naturally express. And so it's going to show you where your soul and your physical reality are in perfect sync. Okay. All right. So let's look at a couple charts here. All right. So we're going to explore 2 examples of conjunctions, and we're going to incorporate house placement to see how these are going to manifest in practical terms. Okay. So in this first chart, we have here the sun is conjunct exactly with the midheaven. So you have the tropical midheaven is conjunct exactly with the draconic sun in the 9th house. And so we are looking at, this is an alignment that is going to be very powerful. It's going to signify that the soul's purpose, represented by that draconic sun, is directly aligned with the external career path or public image, which is symbolized by this tropical midheaven. And with this occurring in the 9th house, I'm going to add that this individual's professional achievements are likely tied to higher learning, exploration, or philosophy. All right. This conjunction suggests a lifetime where careers in teaching, travel, spirituality, publishing are going to play a very central role in reflecting the soul's aspiration for this individual. Their career becomes a platform for sharing knowledge or expanding others' perspectives and blending their spiritual mission with tangible contributions. They're going to have recognition and leadership in fields that tie to that 9th house theme. And they're going to have a lot of the elements of karmic growth coming from the ties they have to this 9th house theme. Okay. Now, if we come over to this one, you've got your moon at 6 degrees and your Venus at 6 degrees. Again, this is an exact aspect. So this is very profound. Okay. What this is saying, and it's in the 1st house, is saying that you've got the soul's deepest values and capacity for love, which is that draconic Venus, with the emotional needs and the inner world, that tropical moon, located in a 1st house. So this is emphasizing the expression of these energy through personal identity and self-presentation. So I would say the individual with this is going to radiate a warmth and an emotional depth and a charisma. And they're going to make relationships very central to their life. And they're going to work on balancing emotional fulfillment with spiritual alignment because it's the core theme for them. So the 1st house placement suggests that these qualities are engaged with the world through love, vulnerability, authentic emotional expression, be it romantic, be it friendship, be it some family relationship. These kind of connections are not only meaningful, but they're integral to this soul's evolution. Okay. I would say that this example, actually both of these examples, demonstrate how conjunctions reveal this interplay between soul intention and the external experience that are going to bring these intentions to life, with the houses providing critical content for the area of life most impacted by these alignments. Okay, now let's look at the opposition. All right, so when we explore these oppositions, you're looking at your draconic placement, again, be it a planet, be it a point, that is positioned directly opposite of a tropical placement. And this is going to create that polarity I spoke of, this tension between your soul level motivation based on the draconic and the external behavior represented by the tropical chart. Okay, so oppositions are often highlighted by having this need to balance life. You're going to be having a balancing act going on in your life. And so these aspects are going to feel like you have your internal drives at odds with external circumstance. It's going to have like a push-pull dynamic going on. It's like your soul's desire for independence might conflict with the external responsibilities or relationship that require compromise. Okay. These aspects are not simply points of conflict, but opportunity integration. That's the important part to get out of oppositions. These are opportunities for integration. They challenge us to harmonize the opposing energies by teaching us how to bridge the gap between what feels divided. And so this process helps us grow by finding equilibrium between what we inner desire and what our external reality is. All right. I would say in practice, oppositions offer kind of this manifestation of external challenge or relationship that brings karmic themes to the forefront. An example would be maybe you've got a partner or friend, or maybe even an event that may mirror the tension between these two forces. So it's giving you a chance to address and resolve some underlying dynamic. And so through these oppositions, we're learning to balance perspective and the importance of integrating an inner truth with our outer world. Okay, let's look at a couple charts here. All right, so in this chart, we have the Draconic Mars, which is here, in opposition to the Sun in the tropical chart. And this is exact, it's 9 degrees. So this opposition would highlight a tension between the soul's drive for action and ambition, which is that Draconic Mars in the 9th house, and the individual's self-expression and communication. And so basically this 9th house placement of this Mars is suggesting that this soul is motivated by higher learning, exploration, a quest for truth. However, the tropical sun in that 3rd house is going to emphasize the need to have local connection, to have the ability to communicate, and to deal with immediate concerns. So this is going to create a dynamic where you've got the pursuit of expansive big picture goals that are going to conflict with the need to focus on small day-to-day interactions or community ties. Okay, so an example of this, you might feel like a deep drive to take bold actions in areas like education, travel, philosophy, but your personality might be more inclined towards expressing ideas within a more familiar or more close-knit environment. And so this opposition is teaching lessons in assertion and balance. It's helping this individual learn how to reconcile their ambition with their everyday interactions and how to align their higher aspirations with their authentic self-expression. Okay. The second example is the Draconic North Node in opposition to the natal South Node. And we're looking at first and seventh house here. Okay, so this obviously is representing a karmic pivot point, all right, where the soul's growth path, which is the North Node in the first house, is challenged by the past life tendencies and patterns of the South Node. In this chart, it's in the seventh house. This is going to be in every chart, okay, because you're going to have your points in opposition to each other, okay, when it comes to the North and the South nodes. All right, so what we're looking at here is with the North Node in the first house, it's highlighting that soul's journey on self-discovery, independence, personal empowerment. Conversely, that South Node in the seventh house is pointing to reliance on partnerships or a tendency to prioritize other people's needs above your own. And so this alignment is going to bring moments of spiritual evaluation for this individual. It's going to encourage them to move beyond the comfort zone of relying on others and to embrace the potential for having self-reliance and autonomy. And so relationships or situations might arise that push this person to confront old habits like dependency or avoiding leadership roles, and instead help them develop confidence and a stronger sense of self. All right. These examples of oppositions are showing how you've got dynamic forces that are interacting for growth. They're emphasizing the need to harmonize the inner drive with the external reality. Okay. In one case, you've got the challenge between balancing bold ambition with day-to-day connections. And in the other one, you've got the focus between breaking free from relation patterns to fully embodying individuality. These aspects encourage personal evolution while navigating the key karmic lessons. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to talk about are how these aspects influence life. Okay. So you've got your draconic conjunctions and oppositions. And you're looking at, these are between your draconic chart and your tropical chart. And they've got, of course, these influences on life, and they're key on shaping growth and relationship and purpose. So let's kind of break down how these aspects work, okay? So as far as revealing karmic themes, conjunctions and oppositions highlight soul agreements or unresolved karmic ties that are going to directly impact your current life decisions and your relationships, okay? So as an example, if you've got a draconic Saturn and it's conjunct a tropical Venus, it's a point for a karmic lesson around commitment, responsibility, and reason. This alignment would bring relationships that challenge you to grow in these areas and help you release old patterns while building a stronger connection. Okay. If we're looking at for the purpose of clarifying life, clarifying your life purpose, we all want to know what our life purpose is. How do you clarify it with these tools? When you look at these significant alignments between the charts, they're going to pinpoint life areas where your soul's purpose is most active and tangible. All right. So if your Draconic Ascendant conjuncts your tropical sixth house cusp, your soul's purpose might revolve around service, health, and perfecting your daily routines. This alignment would suggest that acts of service, care for others, and creating structure in your environment are going to be integral to your spiritual mission. Okay. And it's also going to highlight your points, right? Specifically oppositions, but in general. All right. So the oppositions are where you're, like I said, you've got your dynamic tension. This is where your external and your internal are at odds. Aspects are your growth points. This is where you have spiritual development and growth being absolutely needed. All right. This is where you're going to be pushed for introspective and adaptive change. An example of this would be having your Draconic North Node opposite any tropical planet. It would show this reoccurring life theme tied to whatever that planet's energy was, like a relationship or career or personal growth. It depended on what the planet was. And this tension would require effort to harmonize and move forward. But it also offers this great potential for transformation. Okay. And so by understanding these aspects, you uncover your karmic, purposeful, and transformative influences that gives you the ability to shape your journey and gives you the ability to align with your soul's intention more firmly, because then you have a better idea of what your soul intention is and where it is most focused in your chart. All right. The last thing we're going to look at tonight is introduction. I'm trying to scrape the top of this. This is such a deep topic. I just wanted to scrape it so you could see kind of how it works, maybe look a little bit at your own chart, and see if you have interest in pursuing more knowledge on Draconic astrology. The last point we're looking at is looking at transits. All right. So the Draconic transit is like kind of like unlocking karmic cycles. Okay. Draconic transits are very powerful tools for understanding what karmic cycle is shaping your life. Okay. The transits bring kind of the soul lessons out to the surface. It takes them, they're not hidden at that point. And it's really going to coincide with like significant life changes going on. So like if you've got a Draconic transit over a tropical planet, it might align with some major transition like a career shift or a relationship milestone or some intense period of personal growth. So these moments aren't random. They're actually pivotal points in your journey towards fulfilling your soul's purpose. And that's the point of a Draconic transit. When you have these major transitions in life, they're actually in the charts. They're not random. These are pivot points so that your soul knows that it's time to make a motion, to make a move. All right. So when you're analyzing Draconic transits, you can do two primary chart setups. All right. And I want to talk about them with you. You can do a Draconic transit versus a tropical natal chart. Okay. A Draconic transit versus a tropical natal chart. So to do this, you're going to place the current transiting Draconic chart as the inner wheel and your tropical natal chart as the outer wheel. And this is going to highlight how current Draconic transits are activating areas of your tropical chart. So it's going to reveal these personal karmic lessons or events. Okay. Example would be if you're transiting Draconic a karmic relationship of an important lesson in some love or value lesson. Similarly, you've got your Draconic Pluto transiting over your sun, could signal a period of profound transformation tied to identity. Okay. So that's one method, Draconic transit versus tropical natal chart. The other way to use Draconic versus tropical transit. In this set, you're going to place the current transiting Draconic chart as the inner wheel and the current tropical transits outer wheel. So at that point, no, there's no chart involved. You're looking at Draconic transit and transits. Okay. This is going to give us not personal information, but global or calamic themes. It's going to show how their action with personal dynamics. Okay. So let's give you an instance. You've got the Draconic Mars conjuncting the tropical Uranus in something go along with maybe unexpected event, challenge individual and collective growth, particular areas like innovation and freedom. Okay. So by comparing these layers, you're going to identify karmic moment, collective and personal. And so draconic transits are going to give a guide and helping to navigate formative periods for awareness, align our soul's intention, and embrace the opportunities that they're going to bring. Okay. An example. Okay. So this is the Draconic transit tropical natal. Okay. So in this example, I have the current transiting chart, Draconic chart in the inner wheel. Okay. When you are producing Draconic charts, there is in house in when you where you have the in your software Draconic, you just change to Draconic and pull up the for the moment, and that will produce a transiting Draconic chart. Okay, that is the inner wheel in this. All right, and then you go back to tropical and you use the natal chart on the outside. Okay, and it would be any natal chart. It could be any person placed on top of this Draconic transit chart, right? And this is going to highlight the current Draconic transits that are activating in that tropical chart, showing personal karmic lessons or events. Okay, so in this chart that I have as an example, I've got 3 specific aspects. Our first one is the sun sextile the midheaven. All right, so we're looking at the Draconic midheaven and the chart, the natal chart, sun. Okay. Now, in this shows that the sun is aligning harmoniously because it's a sextile with that Draconic midheaven, indicating an opportunity to shine professionally or publicly. And so this aspect would support achieving some kind of recognition aligned with this individual's nurturing nature. Okay. All right. If we look at the Venus square Uranus, all right, and all of these are less than a degree. It was why I picked them. Okay. They are a degree or less. So when we look at the Venus square Uranus, all right, we've got Venus is here, Uranus is here. All right, so you've got a tension, because it's a square, a tension between the natal Venus and the transiting Draconic Uranus, suggesting some kind of sudden shift in a relationship or in something creative. So this aspect would be saying that you need to embrace change and innovation in how you're connecting with others. Okay. Third one, we have the Saturn, and it is in a sextile to Jupiter. All right. So we've got our, again, a supportive aspect here. We've got the Saturn of the tropic of the client, of the individual, against the Jupiter, the Draconic Jupiter. So we are looking at a balance between discipline and growth, which is the Jupiter, suggesting progress in something for this individual that has to do with career or personal development through some kind of planning, uh, careful planning, I will say, and ambition. Okay. Now, if we look at these as far as opportunities in looking at this exact chart for that moment in time, I would have told the individual that the positive synastry aspects, like that sun sextiling midheaven, point to career alignment, while the Venus square Uranus suggests maybe a challenge that would be the need for more flexibility in relationships and creative endeavors. All right. So that points to things that are going on in this individual's life. And these are things that are part of the soul's life path. Okay. Okay. All right. We're looking at draconic nodal transits and life changes. Okay. This is the last thing that I wanted to mention. I know that I've just given you a ton of information, but I want to make sure that I mention this because I think this is very important. All right. So as I said in the beginning, one of the most significant cyclical events for Draconic astrology is a nodal return, which happens about every 18 and a half years. Nodal transits in Draconic astrology are pivotal markers of karmic shift and spiritual realignment. So when you've got your Draconic North Node aligning with a specific planet or point in a tropical chart, it's activating some profound moment of growth and transformation. And these alignments reveal where the soul's purpose is influencing tangible life events, basically bringing karmic lessons and opportunities to the surface. Okay. So I just quickly want to talk about the North Node, Draconic North Node, with the different planets, so that you have an idea of what it would mean if a Draconic North Node was conjunct any of these planets. Okay. So if your Draconic North Node was conjunct the Sun, it would offer a sign that you were going to go through a period of personal empowerment or self-discovery. All right. This would be a transit where you'd be aligning your soul's purpose with individual identity, creating an opportunity to step into kind of maybe a new sense of self, that kind of thing. Draconic North Node conjunct Moon. This is an emotional breakthrough or some kind of family dynamic. This transit could indicate maybe moving to a new home, starting a new family, deepening some kind of emotional connection. It's the soul integrating feelings of safety and nurturing into the present. Okay. Draconic North Node in Mercury emphasize communication, learning, networking. So the soul's purpose inspires intellectual growth or new opportunities. So you might be starting a new project, publishing some creative work, forming some kind of impactful connection, something that's going to align some karmic goal. Okay. When you've got the North Node in Venus, you're looking at romantic and creative milestones. So this is a transit that's going to be a classic indicator of a karmic union, like a marriage or some deeply transformative relationship or some significant, artistic achievement that really is going to reflect your soul's value. If the North Node is conjunct your Mars, you're looking at activations in ambition and drive. It's signaling a period of decisive action. This transit is going to push you to pursue bold ventures or career breakthroughs, aligning the soul's desire, for courage and achievement with external opportunities. You've got your Draconic North Node conjunct your Jupiter. You've got growth and expansion. You're taking center. All right. Growing and expanding is taking center. This is going to be your soul yearning to have knowledge and abundance and spiritual wisdom and with real world opportunities. So that's going to be traveling and education and financial blessings. Okay. You've got your North Node, Draconic North Node conjuncting Saturn. This is going to be karmic lessons in responsibility and structure. This is going to correlate with major commitments like career advancements or overcoming some big challenge. It's the soul refining discipline and perseverance. We've got the Draconic North Node conjuncting Uranus. This is triggering sudden breakthroughs and changes, particularly in areas like technology, freedom, innovation. This is going to be a period of awakening where your soul is going to challenge constraints to embrace new possibilities. When you've got your Draconic North Node conjuncting Neptune, this is a focus on spiritual or creative awakening. So this is a transit that's going to dissolve illusions, going to inspire you to pursue mystical or artistic paths that align with the soul's deeper truth. Pluto alignment with this Draconic North Node, you're looking at profound transformation and rebirth. Of course, this is going to bring themes of power, deep emotional healing, and karmic renewal. It's going to be urging the soul to embrace its full potential. Okay. When the Draconic North Node conjuncts the Ascendant, it indicates a period of personal rebirth. So it's the soul's purpose manifesting through shifts in identity and basically presenting itself to the world. Okay. If it's conjuncting the midheaven, you are looking at career shifts and public recognition. It's going to offer alignments to help you step into your life purpose or to achieve some significant milestone in your professional path. So these are examples demonstrating how if you've got that draconic nodal transit going on, that North Node, and it's going to be a cosmic marker of change, guiding your spiritual growth and your alignment with your soul's intention. And so by using draconic transits, you can better understand the timing of the karmic lessons that are going on in your life and figure out what the opportunity is that you need to embrace to have the most transformation and the most fulfillment out of that moment in time. Okay. All right. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My information is in the box below the video. I would be more than happy to answer questions. And if this has made you want to know more about yourself as an individual and your draconic information, I am doing a in-depth webinar on Saturday, February the 15th. And it's going to be 4.5 hours long. It's not a scratch. We're diving. And it is going to be via Zoom. And it is $25 a person. I am only taking 12 people, and I already have 2 positions filled. So I only have 10 open spots at the moment. And in these 4.5 hours, we are going to look at the individuals that are signed up charts. We are going to explore their draconic planets and houses and what's revealed for their soul journeys. We're going to compare their draconic and tropical charts to uncover those hidden karmic themes. We're going to discover the draconic transits for them and what's being activated in their life right now. And we're going to explore draconic synastry, which is a topic I didn't even touch in this because it's too big of a subject. But we're going to explore it. We're going to be doing a lot of hands-on chart work in this, and I'm going to be showing the tools to use to do draconic astrology. So if this is something that interests you, email me, and I would be more than happy to give you more information about registering for this event. All right. Again, my information, I am Divine Frequency Astrology. I am Dr. Deborah Holliday. I do have a PhD in philosophy. Here is my information if you would like to contact me. I thank you all for joining me for this webinar and for participating in another Neo Astrology Group event. We will be having more events, hopefully still on a monthly basis, and I hope that you enjoy them. I will see you again soon.